Welcome you to another lecture, that is the lecture third. It represents different aspects of the Arabic literary discourse in the backdrop of modernism and postmodernism, like البنيوية ما بعد البنيوية التفكيكية التداولية النحو التوليدي السيموتيقية تحليل الخطاب الأنثوية ما بعد الإمبريالية الحداثة الفكرية ما بعد الحداثة بعد ما بعد الحداثة النقد الثقافي النقد الأخضر etc. While conversing with the Western counterpart or the Eurocentric paradigms propounded in the West, the East has come into direct contact with this, with the thoughts, with the schools, with the paradigms in the domain of language, literature, culture, philosophizing, a number of. So the postmodern saga, as we have, has been very significant in modern times, and not simply because of the proximity, geographical proximity of several Arab countries to West, as we can see in the example of Morocco being very much close to Spain, just a few kilometers. You can simply see as I have shared with you. If you stand in the city of Tanger, you can simply see the other coast, the city lights, even the traffic lights, the moving cars from one place to another. You can simply identify Gibraltar, that hillock, while you are standing in Tanger, in Morocco. So, because of this closeness, proximity, and all the Mediterranean coastline and countries located on, like the Morocco and Algeria and Tunisia, Libya, and because of the colonial background, the colonial past, which has always played a significant role in the domain of ideas, the literature, literary theories, literary culture, even language, the Francophone perspectives. French being the second language, rather in some cases being the first language in practical terms. Spanish being in vogue, in greater use, domains of uses in some parts of some cities of or section of cities of Morocco, where the Spanish is very much spoken. So, being Spanish and French being like the second language, chiefly French. That's and from here we find the Francophone discourse in relation to the Maghreb region, and the imperial aspect. France having the imperialist control over Algezair, Algeria for a long time. Then Algeria getting independence only after offering 1.5 million of martyrs. شعب 1.5 مليون شهيد. فيعني هذه الأسباب، يعني هذه الخلفية السياسية والثقافية أو الازدواجية اللغوية العربية والفرنسية أو العربية والإسبانية، يعني هذا القرب، هذا التقارب بين الدول المغاربية، خاصة الجزائر وليبيا، ويعني المغرب، خاصة المغرب في المقدمة. هذه الأبعاد لعبت دورا هاما في تشكيل نوع خاص من المناخ الذي الذي أحاط الثقافة الأوروبية، التنظير الأوروبي في سياق الأدب، التنظير الأدبي والتمثيل الأدبي، النظريات الأدبية البافذة. وهذا هو الفارق الأساسي أو من بين الفروق الأساسية بين الدول العربية الشرقية والدول العربية المغاربية. This is again in the sequence we're finding that the Arab countries in East, it's in the Arabian Peninsula, how they are different from the Arab countries in West, chiefly Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco. It was because of this. And the case was different in the Indian subcontinent. Just the role that was played by in the English language in the Indian subcontinent, it was the French language, especially the French language, that played that role in the Maghreb region. There are certain aspects of the post modern pedagogy which will be deliberated upon in this lecture, including the argumentative theory. The significance of this argumentative theory lies in the fact that while analyzing the discourse, that is تحليل الخطاب, تحليل الخطاب, there are many aspects. The aspect of deconstruction we have already seen. The semiotic challenge we have already seen. Another aspect that is known as al-Hijajiyya, the argumentative theory. This argumentative aspect constitutes a specific domain in the rhetorics, in balagha. Of course, we know what is balagha, al-balagha al-qadima, the classical balagha, ulum al-balagha, ma'ani, bayan, badi'. So here we have a new concept of balagha, which is known as the new balagha, al-balagha al-jadida. هناك البلاغة العربية القديمة وهناك البلاغة الجديدة. البلاغة الجديدة ما هي؟ هي في الحقيقة يعني مدرسة الحجاجية، مدرسة الحجاج. ما هذه المدرسة؟ ما هي الحجاجية؟ What is the argumentative theory? This argumentative theory, first let's just give some names. It was given by Chaim Perelman, Stephen Toulmin, and represented by the pragma dialectics by Hans von Immeren, alongside many other names that are associated with this theory. Toulmin is known for writing many books, like An Examination of the Place of Reason in Ethics, The Philosophy of Science and Introduction, The Uses of Argument, Metaphysical Beliefs, The Riviera, etc. These books, alongside many other books given by him. In the domain of the pragma dialectics propounded by Immeren, the contextualizing pragma dialectics and the argumentation theory of pragma dialectic perspectives, and the new rhetoric, we have this work, a treatise on the argument, البلاغة الجديدة والنص الشعري النظري والتطبيق, محمد زيدان, Dr. Muhammad Zidan. So before going into the other aspects of this theme, let's know exactly what means this theory in terms of the argumentative that constitutes al-balagha al-jadida. There are many aspects of the analysis of language, how language is analyzed, how a discourse is analyzed. any text which has been written, and here of course it is the literary text, whether it is poetry or prose. There is a poem, there is a short story. We are analyzing. There are various ways to analyze. So it is the first. It is uh, the very structure, language structure, philological aspect of this phenomenon, philology. The text as a philological unit. The first, it is the philological aspect and a point of analysis. Any book, anything is there like pragma, pragmatic analysis of this. Any word like al-jumhuriya, al-demokratiya, jumhuriya, jumhur, jamhara, al-jamhara, علم, إعلام, معلم, معالم, أسس, مؤسسة, مؤسسات, مؤسس, and so on and so forth. خبر, اختبر, مختبر, الأخبار, الاستخبار. So this philological aspect. Now this aspect gives us another phenomenon. This is the complete text. When the text is complete, it's not simply the philological units scattered. If it is simply the philological units scattered here and there, so it is a dictionary, not a text. And this difference, there has to be some difference between the text and the dictionary. So when we are having a text, it has several layers, several aspects. First, it is the grammatical aspect. So we have the grammatical aspect. The grammatical aspects having different facets like morphology, semantics, philology, syntactics, etc., phonetics, etc., and some other aspects which are dealt with in modern linguistic paralances, parameters. So this language aspect represented by grammatical aspect. Then we have semantic aspect, balagat aspect, figures of speech aspect. They are well structured. Just like the rules of grammar, they are well thought out, well structured, canonized. Like the rules of correspondence between, say, Mawsuf and Sifa and Fail and Fa'il and Maf'ul, Mubtada and Khabar, etc., subject, predicate, and all that. These are well known. They constitute the very core of a language in terms of grammar. Then you have the thought domain, domain of thought. What is the actual content, content theme you are talking about, the meanings? This is another thing. But there is another thing which has been focused, chiefly focused upon, analyzed by these scholars. And it is when we use any sentence while using a chain of words, making compositions, we also have a path of the arguments, of reasoning, of inference. So each and every word has a meaning, and this meaning is related to the another meaning that would be following this meaning at the second stage. By the way of the argument, the argumentation, the argument here, the relationship is that of the argument. Means the second part must be something like supporting the first part in terms of argument, in terms of reasoning. So, and it is the first part that actually dictates the nature of the second part in terms of argument. So it is something like the inferences in terms of or the canonics of the organon of the argumentation. So if it is like العالم متغير كل متغير فالعالم كل متغير حادث فالعالم حادث, or like if A is B and B is C, therefore A is C. This is an argument. So here what we find is a thought, but here what is of paramount significance is the way, the method of our argumentation, and how the second sentence is related to the first sentence. This argumentative aspect. If you want to argue, if you want to convince someone, if you want to ask other peoples to believe us, you are delivering a lecture, you are convincing the peoples. These peoples won't be convinced by you except by the way of argumentation. If they are satisfied, if you are able to satisfy them, to address their concerns, argumentative concerns, then they will be believing you. Otherwise, not. The domain of public addresses, the domain of book, writing a book from page first to the last page, with all the sentences, all the paragraphs, all the words interconnected, being interconnected with each other by the way of argumentation. So I'll be giving a very simple example of the argumentation, how it works. You say that he was very thirsty. John was very thirsty. That's why he didn't drink water, didn't take water. You'll be saying that no, this is wrong. Because if he was thirsty, it means that he needed water. So the sentence should be like that. John was very thirsty, he needed water, therefore he took water. If you say John was very thirsty, therefore he didn't need water, so he went away, he didn't take water. This is wrong in terms of argumentation. So this argumentation is known as the al-balagha al-jadida, or the new balagha, the modern balagha. Although in the modern balagha case, especially in the case as it is related to Arabic, the focus is chiefly on the stylistics. التركيز في سياق البلاغة على الاستدلال على الاستدلال والأسلوبيات. فعادة ما نجد أن علماء الأسلوبيات هم الذين يذكرون في هذا السياق. There are many other things which are talked about while dealing with while taking into account several aspects, like how Julia Kristeva and Noam Chomsky, Jacques Derrida, etc., they could be related to this domain of new rhetoric. So this domain, that is the al-balagha al-jadida, is a new concern, is a new phenomenon of greater significance when we talk about the postmodern themes in modern Arabic literary discourse. With this, we come to an end in this lecture. Thank you very much.